This conference will now be recorded.
Meeting of October 22nd, 2024 for the town of Surfside Beach. Please stand as we begin with an invocation offered by Pastor Franklin Ward of Timberlake Church.
Almighty God, we just thank you for the privilege of being able to gather in freedom as a community and discuss ideas. We ask that our discussions would be graced with wisdom and understanding, a spirit of cooperation and community, and a mind and a heart that looks out for the well-being of our neighbor. Bless our leaders here tonight. Bless those that are going to participate. Bless your holy name. Amen.
Amen. And join me as I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. All right, we're going to start with a public hearing. And the public hearing is specifically an ordinance of the town of Surfside Beach, South Carolina, imposing a temporary moratorium on the issuance of new building and zoning permits for cannabis dispensing businesses, smoke shops, tobacco stores, and businesses selling tobacco paraphernalia, invoking application of the pending ordinance doctrine, and protecting existing vested rights as required by applicable law. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on this public hearing? All right, thank you very much. I will now entertain motions relating to the agenda. All right, we have none. We'll move on. So I'm looking for minutes approval for the regular meeting and special meeting we had a couple weeks ago.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin.
I move that we approve the minutes for Tuesday, October 8th as presented, and the special meeting Thursday, October 10th as presented.
Is there any discussion?
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we got the second. Is there any discussion? All right, then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll now move to public comments related to agenda items. Do we have any public comments? All right, thank you very much. We will now begin with the communication section. The administrator's report. Mr. Vincent is out. He is attending to a family member, taking care of her, and he's out this week. The main item we wanted to discuss in the administrator's report was my request from 2 weeks ago about the total cost of the pier project. So with the mediation settlement that we paid the last couple of weeks, $573,000 for the insurance deductible and roughly $440,000 to settle the mediation. We end up with a total of $18,886,484.49. So I remember when I was pier committee chairman, we were talking numbers of 20 to 22 million even back then. So it's a lot of money, but it's not as bad as it might have been what the rumors were at that time. So any comments on the pier situation?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin.
I think a lot of people, because we have a $4 million bond that we pay off, I think they added that to the cost. It's really not a double. That's kind of doubling it. So that's how they got over $20 million was they were at it, including the bond.
Any other comment? All right, then we're going to move on to the director's reports, and we will begin with Fire Department. Chief Nelson.
Good evening. I'm happy to announce we have just completed the hiring process for the fire department minus the fire inspector. We have all the firefighters that we need, and we're short just the fire inspector. We had 4 applicants for the fire inspector position, 3 applicants interviewed, the 4th backed out due to medical issues. Of the 3, we sent a conditional offer to 1 who we felt was the best pick, unfortunately turned down the offer due to wages. We're still working to see if maybe we could do something with that. He was a very good candidate, works for the county, but our wages were quite lower than what he was used to. We had our open house, and we saw a lot of our citizens come out and enjoy the house, as well as councilmen and women. The kids' firehouse was a big hit. They got to spray water, and the wooden cutouts that we had, they were painted to look like fire, and we had a firefighter obstacle course that the kids got to go through. And we had a fire simulation trailer. That was the first time I was actually in that simulation trailer, and I was very impressed. They had a hurricane room in there. The whole room shook. It has lightning going on. The lights flash in there. The noise is overwhelming, just like if it would be in a hurricane. It actually shakes a little bit. The appliances they had in there smoked, had lights that go off, just like if it's a fire. Makes you think of what you need to do. A lot of times we think we need to put the fire out. Sometimes if we just unplug it, we're better off. So it was a really great opportunity for you. Hopefully next year, if you didn't get to come out, you can come out again. I'm happy to announce that we've hired our last 2 firefighters, and their names are Aaron Packnode and Jason Gibson. We now have 12 firefighters total, 4 on each shift, 1 fire marshal, and we have a vacant fire inspector position. We have 21 volunteers, 9 of which are interior firefighters, and the remaining 12 are driver operators or support personnel. I feel we have improved our staffing levels. We have set standards to be out the door in 2 minutes or less, being dressed and prepared for the incidents we're responding to. With the assistance of the town and the residents' assistance, we have improved our career staff and our volunteer staff to include more interior firefighters. We have just opened a position for a volunteer lieutenant to assist with the volunteers and the volunteer captain. Crews are working together. We recently had a cookout so that we could have a meet and greet of all new personnel and their families. We're able to assist the county as well as other units in the area, and I'll be meeting with Merle's Inlet Garden City Fire Department. Sorry, I lost my train here. Leadership to develop mutual aid contacts with them as well. The fire service is a team-oriented, and we have developed a great team in Surfside. I've met with the 911 Communication Center to discuss our run cards, which is what we want when we get dispatched to calls. So to give you a kind of example of how it works, for instance, on a medical call, we would have a medic unit go out and an engine go out. If we had a motor vehicle accident with entrapment, we're going to put a medic out, a rescue out, and an engine out. All these have to be put into our run cards based off what we feel that we need, and this is what we're sitting down to go over and see. Some of them might not change, some might need a little bit of just tweaking here and there, but for the most part, we need to review that. The whole county's going through that as we go. I feel that our department is ready to handle Surfside's emergencies. Our crews are training. We're bringing classes to the stations as well as going outside of our department to take other classes that are not available. This is being done by our volunteers and career members. We're working on a strategic plan to mitigate issues, improve equipment, as well as to assist with the replacement of outdated equipment. That's all I got.
Any questions for
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Wallace?
Chief Nelson, just a question on the line of, since you kind of changed your policy on the volunteers and you're allowing them to go and fight fires, that's what they want to do.
Yes, sir.
Do we find a stimulation within the volunteer team to want to do the training so that they can do that as well?
Absolutely. And I've been approached by a few members that said at that time they talked about stepping down because that wasn't what they wanted, but now that they're actually getting run out in calls, they want to stay on and do the job.
Okay.
So very excited for them.
That's awesome.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
I know it's just came up, but the emergency response standard, I don't know if I got a whole bunch of paperwork on it. It's,
The OSHA standard you're talking about?
yeah,
250 pages?
yeah. There's no legislation.
Yes, sir.
And you're looking at that, correct?
Absolutely. So I wrote a little bit on that. I figure I could go into it if they want. I was sent an email last week regarding the OSHA document. This was introduced to council. I was made aware of it previously. As part of a different organization I'm part of, which is called Horry Georgetown County Chiefs Association. And that's probably the first month I was here, I was brought in. They started talking about that. There's quite a few issues, and I'm going to cut some of this out so it's not as long. Basically, it's 250 pages of different ideas that they came up with. That it's not just a South Carolina regulation, it's United States wide that they want to do. Some of it really doesn't have anything to do with the fire department. Way we do it. For instance, one of the things is if we have a large extrication where we might have a tractor trailer that's overturned, we're going to call a tow truck company out to try to lift that up. We don't have the equipment really to lift that kind of structure. I would be responsible for the tow truck driver to make sure that he's wearing proper equipment and has the proper apparel. That's not in my card book. I can't enforce anything that he wears. So that's some of the things that I don't really feel that are good. One of the things we call them a stipend up north. They also we give out, I don't want to call it a paycheck, but a incentive. So when you run on a call, you get a certain amount of money to help pay for your fuel, basically, is what it's doing. It's not, you're not going to get rich and be able to live off the volunteer incentive that we give it. But they're saying if you make a certain amount of money, that you would be considered an employee. Well, what's going to happen to all these people when they start doing this and start making those things? That's going to become a huge issue. I don't see a lot of this going through and making it through. It's going to cut out a lot of smaller volunteer fire departments that aren't going to be able to make any of these standards. There's some volunteer fire departments that are out there and they're living day to day off of having pancake feeds and everything else just to buy their equipment. And now you're going to say that they have to go out and get yearly physicals, which our guys do, but that's quite expensive. If you have 20, 30 guys, $500, $600 for a physical, that's a lot of money that's going out. I don't see some of this stuff going in. They're nice things, and I'm not saying that some of them aren't good. Financially wise, the federal government's going to probably have to come up with some type of funding. The state's going to have to come up with some type of funding. I just don't see it happening.
So I didn't read all of it. I read some of it, and it says it could affect some small fire departments. Could it possibly affect our fire department, and how badly? I just want to give everyone an idea.
I'll be honest, I haven't got completely through it. I have a cliff note type of thing, and I'll send that out to all of you guys. Basically, this is the cliff note compared to 250 pages. The International Association of Firefighters went through it. They highlighted certain items they felt were issues to us. For the most part, what I've seen, I didn't see anything that really is going to grab us as far as that goes, except for maybe our volunteers, what I was talking about there. There's a few things that we need to look at, some training issues and stuff like that we could do. Like one of the things says if you're near a water-based, we have an ocean, marine system, that we have to meet NFPA standards for that. So that's some of the things that we would have to look at in improving our training with that when it goes to that. From my past experience sitting on different committees and stuff like that, not everything gets pushed through. I could see them taking bits and pieces and saying, yes, this we want to pass, and this we're not going to pass, or it never makes it to the floor for a vote.
All right. The reason why I brought it up is because we're right on the crust of deciding what we're going to do with the
For the most part, everything I've seen so far, and like I said, I haven't got completely through it. There's nothing that's really jumping out at me that.
So it's not going to affect us. It might affect us slightly, but not badly.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Stemmy, Chief, as you know, I went to a conference this past week, me and a couple of other council guys, and this was a big topic. And from them talking, they were real concerned about this. This isn't something we just pushed to the side, because they were talking about the response times and all this stuff, and they had 125 firemen on this committee that it's come up with this. And I mean, we might not be concerned here in town, but as I listened to this conference, I'm concerned, because we as this small town cannot do what they're asking us to do. I don't think the federal government, I don't think that right now the federal government won't pay that. They're saying they ain't. But I don't think everything's going to be there that was in the documents they're talking about. But I do see a lot of it coming, is because when they told us that the firemen has asked for this a whole lot. And what's happened, they just went a little bit overboard for what the fire department's asked. I would like, I have some of the paperwork that was from some of the people, some of the firemen that I will get to you, that you can maybe contact some of these people and talk to. But I am concerned, because they're talking about having 14 people to a house fire within 4 minutes. We can't get 4 to a house fire in 4 minutes. So you're talking about a big expense. And as Mr. Coleman said, we're on the cuff of whether Horry County takes it and runs with it, or Surfside hangs on to it, and within 2 or 3 years, these things could come about. So that's one big concern of mine.
I totally understand what you're saying. I agree with you. I would also say that NFPA has a document already put in place. It's 1710 or 1720, depending on if it's a volunteer fire department versus a career department, and how long, whether you live in a suburban, rural, or what type of area, how many people you have to get on scene within that many time. So a lot of this program that we're looking at is repeating itself. So who's going to take the precedence, NFPA or OSHA? And those are all things that are going to have to be fought with the legislation up there. And I agree with, it depends on which way they go. Some of these things could be some issues. I don't see that OSHA would take over NFPA's policies. Not saying it couldn't, but just looking at it, NFPA is the kind of the Bible of the fire department. When you get held to court or any standards, when they come out, they say, what would NFPA say? And it's a recommendation, like I told you on the Bay floor, it's a recommendation, but it's actually considered the rule of the land, so to speak. That's what they're going to hold you to. So those are the things I see. With our mutual aid, that would count as stuff, but there's a lot of departments can get on scene within 50. Recently on the news, they had a department in this area that took 15 minutes to get across the street for a structure fire. That might be the normal standard that what they get out. And what are they going to do? Shut them down? I totally understand what you're saying. I just don't see, there's a lot of paperwork in here, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be gone through before they're going to be able to make decisions on this without doing that. The volunteers are majority of within the United States fire departments. This is going to shut them down completely. How are you going to be able to do that and then try to get those resources to cover that area? So you're going to have larger cities going further and further out to cover areas that you got rid of. It's just, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I'm just saying that there is a lot of stuff in here that needs to be hashed out before they're going to be able to make any rules. And that's just my feeling. I know one of the things that we're looking at with the Horry Georgetown County Chiefs Association is trying to get one of our representatives to come out and us to put out our stuff. Hey, this is a problem. Where are we going to be? We're not going to be going down to, luckily for us, we don't really have anybody around us, but Horry County, are they going to be going over to Tabor City to fight their fires in another state, because there's no fire department there or anything like that? Just using that as an example. But there's a lot of ifs in this work yet, I feel, that need to be worked out. And I agree with you. There can be some stuff that it's 250 pages. I haven't got through everything. Like I said, there can be some stuff in here that we need to look at more.
Well, what I was trying to get at, these people are concerned, and if they want the public and everybody else to know how concerning that this is going to be and how costly it could happen if this passes. And as we sat there and listened, very educational. I mean, it was pretty educational about what's going on that a lot of places don't know.
I would love to get more input and listen to what has to be said as well. I haven't seen anybody come out to talk to the Fire Chiefs Association yet. Why not? Those are good things. Where I came from before, our association was very much involved in legislation, and that's what we want to be a part of as well, to make sure that we're pushing for changes that are going to be positive for our communities.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Wiles.
I'd like to run I have one more question. So I'd like to run the one point, the research that I've shown is that there is potential, if all of OSHA's requirements go through, that there is potential, very strong potential, that it'll bankrupt
Oh, I can see you doing that.
206
Absolutely.
municipalities
Correct.
in this state. So your thoughts on, they can't create that void, can they, for safety of the?
I cannot see how they could get away with trying to do that. It's not going to be it's not a positive.
Yeah.
It's not going to help the communities. It's going to cause more stress, more burden on other communities that are bigger to come out and help it with that thing.
Counties.
And as well as that, we're talking to 4 minutes, 12 people on scene. How are you going to get that when you're having a city respond that's 20, 30 miles away? Like I said, there's just too much in here that needs to be hammered out yet that it isn't been touched yet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Shine.
I agree with what you're saying, and just an insight, because I do have insight on Horry County and Myrtle Beach. they could not handle the requirements here. They do not have the personnel to beef up. So I want everybody to understand, it's just not the little guys like our town.
Absolutely.
It has to deal with, Horry County is a large county and they don't have the personnel for the standards now. If they were imposed with these standards that they're trying to make forward, they're going to be in trouble too. So I think it's across the board. I think we need to wait and see what Congress, and like you said, you can only do what you can do. And a lot of people are going to have to push back, but I appreciate the insight.
I would definitely reach out to your representatives and talk to them about this and say, hey, there's a lot that needs to be hashed out before this is passed or anything like that.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin?
they did say it's probably 2 years down the road,
That's what I've heard too.
so it's not gonna happen in the next 6 months. Thank you.
Okay, you actually hit on the point that I wanted to make. Is there anything we can do? I'm looking for you to keep in touch with the Horry Georgetown Chiefs and get involved in talking about legislation and whatever you think we can do.
We need to reach out to our legislations and tell them that this is not a pro thing for the fire department. There are some things in here that will work, but we need to have a sit down and actually hash out more of this, is what I feel. And I'm not the only one, many chiefs have said this. It's just not a good piece of policy that was put together.
Yeah, and rather than, I mean, some might make the argument that if each of us calls Val Guest or Russell Fry, for both the state and the federal response, that might be more effective. I think actually a cohesive statement coming from the town would probably work better, and I would look for you to help us work through that. And again, it doesn't have to be in the next couple of weeks, but we definitely need to pay attention. So I appreciate you guys bringing this up. I told the chief I was going to if nobody else did. Couple other things though. Fire inspector.
Yes.
So what happens now?
Well, the only thing, when Mr. Vincent gets back, I'd like to sit down with him and see if there's any wiggle room for maybe a little bit of pay increase for that position. I don't want to go into what we're paying or anything like that. But we're asking to be a fire inspector as well as a firefighter, and we're starting them off at base firefighter pay, and they're doing additional work for us. Like I said, I feel if we get into the part where we can start charging for fire inspections, we can help recoup some of that cost. We also haven't hired a fire inspector since July when the fiscal year started. So that position was funded from that. So that might be something that we can look at as well. The three that we interviewed, he was the best candidate. Our fire marshal was with us, and we all agreed when we sat down, he's the guy. And we were a little disappointed when he turned it down, but we understood he has some personal reasons that he couldn't take a smaller cut.
Okay, so you think you could find maybe some wiggle room?
I'm hoping. If not, we actually have had quite a few, maybe 3 to 4 fire inspectors that are willing to do part-time work, and maybe that's something that we can look at too, that we hire 3 or 4 to fill a full-time position so that we could keep somebody second all the time. However, the issue is Fire Marshal Williams is talking about retirement next year. Who are we going to have to fill that position? We're going to be back to square one again, and we definitely need somebody full-time in that position.
All right, very good. I definitely want to see forward looking, so I appreciate that. Last thing I'll say is it was also touched upon. We talked last meeting about having your recommendation for the overall Horry County Fire Rescue or Surfside Beach Fire Department. And we got an extra Tuesday in here, so you got 3 weeks, but I am looking forward to that November 12th. So that's all I've got. Anybody, anything else? All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to the Police Department with Chief Davis.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for hearing from us. Just real quick, the month of September showed a 5.3, a moderate increase in actual calls for service from the same time period as of last year, on through September, from January through September. There's some citation data there as well as some arrest data. To highlight that, 23 arrest warrants issued with 21 served, one was recalled and one is still outstanding. 13 of those warrants were narcotics violations, there were 26 total arrests. I have some crime data year-to-date, what we call our index crime data. They are also, as compared with last year, to give you just some idea what the numbers are and what's trending and what, in which directions they are trending as well. At our last meeting, I introduced three officers to you, or three of our new family members that have started. So we have Sergeant Camp is already in the row, so to speak, getting things done and is excited to be with us. Officer Odell is finishing up his recertification training, and Officer candidate Chevis Ridgway is reported, and he has begun his training cycle certification. He is actually training up at Myrtle Beach Police Department. They were kind enough to include him in their new hire class, so we have a great relationship with them, and they're really good to us, and it's appreciated very much. So it worked out. It worked out. I was very happy. There's some routine training that we have to do. This has been like CDB month for the academy. We have, gosh, I think we've gotten a couple of training videos on that, and then also some additional stuff on CJIX training, which everybody is in the process of finishing up now. We don't, and that doesn't cost us anything. It's sent out over the internet, and we have to take it there, and it's logged at the academy's training records. Josh Blair did complete his Lead of Command Leadership Institute class, which we're glad to get him through that. We were happy to participate in the Surfside Beach Family Festival. We had a good time. Afraid I was going to have to lock somebody up for some pie violations, but we.
I couldn't quit.
We are, I did want to bring up, we had an incident over the weekend. Two of the officers that were involved in that incident, I think, are here. So would you stand up for me? Corporal Corman and also Officer Lipke got in a pursuit with a stolen vehicle from another jurisdiction out off of Lockheed. They were able to get the vehicle stopped, and after a short scuffle, were able to get the gentleman in custody. It looks like they're going to solve several other cases from some other jurisdictions. There's a bunch of stolen stuff in the car. So I just wanted to thank these two officers for putting that there. We're just really blessed with folks we have, and we're very proud of them very much. So aside from that, that's all I have, and I'll entertain any questions.
All right, any questions for Chief
Mr.
Davis? Mr. Wells?
Just one point of clarification. September as opposed to last year, we're down a lot in narcotics, which I had the feeling as if we were becoming a little more active in that area.
Our arrests are down, but our amounts are up. So
Oh,
I think
okay,
we have to
that's,
discuss that after.
no, that's the clarification I needed.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
we started a different way to report.
Yes,
Instead
sir.
of having a crazy 3 or 4 pages of
Sure.
numbers that nobody
Yes, sir.
really understood. And we just, I would assume they would just pass through. I'm trying to figure out what the, so it says year-to-date to 9/24, you had 59 narcotics. Now, what does that mean? Is that arrest, or is that?
Those would be,
Reports?
those would be cases. So they could be cases that were founded, they could be cases that were founded where an arrest was made, or it could be a case where it was reported to us and it was unfounded, but we cleared it, or we cleared it exceptionally. So you'll have some of those in there as well, sir.
And,
Exceptional clearance, of course, it could be juvenile arrest or juvenile detention. I get my words straight there. But it also could be, you also could have an issue where some of that may be found drugs at a location as well. We were unable to determine who might have owned or possessed that.
so basically, just about every category, you're down.
We are down on those categories, yes, sir. A few that are up.
Well, you're up a little bit on assaults, but that's 3 for the year. You know, it's not nothing that jumps off the page, and you're down 10 in trespassing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I like the way the numbers are trending, and I hope that continues.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Kinkin?
I assume when you had 26 arrests, quite a few of them had to go to Conway.
Yes, sir.
Have we figured that out
We're
yet?
still trying to work that out, but well, I need to get a few more people hired, which we're in the process of doing, but I think once we get these other folks in here, we'll be able to work something out. We just haven't quite gotten there yet.
Okay.
But we are working on it because you were so right, Mr. Kinkin, it does take up a lot of time.
Yeah, I hate it's taking so much
We're
time.
exploring 2 or 3 different things right now. So.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Walls?
My life's good. I understand that in order to transport, does it need to be the senior officer on shift that has to transport?
No, it doesn't necessarily
good.
need to be the senior officer
Good.
that transports. I would rather leave the senior officer here in town if I could.
Okay,
But
I misunderstood the stipulation.
there are even some, and I know Mrs. Fallon asked a really good question a meeting or so back about class 3 officers, and that's something I would like to explore. There's some things they can do, and it would be helpful to maybe be able to put some of those folks to work. But, so we're trying to put together, and I'm not trying to steal any of Chief Nelson's thunder at all, but we're both working on a strategic plan, a 5-year plan to kind of show what we're gonna need equipment-wise, so there's a roadmap for the council, so it doesn't hit you out of nowhere. Why are you asking for this? I want to be able to plan and to do so responsibly, to take care of the public's money, and to take care of my officer safety at the same time. So those are some things that we're looking at doing. I would like, I love Tabitha Ball for this. She is ambitious when it comes to planning our events, and I love that, and I think I've told all of you that. I just want to make sure we can cover all of them. So those are some things that we're looking at, and with a different certification, it's not a class 1, it's called a class 3 advanced. There are some things that we can do with those folks that might help us as well, like transport. Mr. Kinkin is one thing we can look at, and some other things as well. So we're looking at all of that, trying to get the biggest bang for our buck.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else?
I have one. We kind of broached the topic of staffing. So with the 3 hires that you brought to us last time, where are we? I know we got 2 frozen positions.
I've got 4 more folks to hire to round
4 more.
everything out. And after that, I would like to maybe sit down with Mr. Vincent and go over a couple of things and bounce some things off of him and just see what he thinks. But we're actively in the process of trying to get this last 4 hired. I'm speaking with a gentleman on Thursday that is already certified.
Okay.
From the local agencies.
All right.
Fingers crossed.
Anybody else?
All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you for your support. Thank you, everybody.
We're now going to move on to Public Works, Director Adair.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and citizens. Public Works for September, our sanitation division and our sanitation supervisor responded to 60 calls regarding services or questions about bulk yard debris, et cetera. Many businesses are starting to reduce frequency this time of year on the commercial service. All those have to be updated regularly. In September, we collected 461 tons of solid waste, 70 tons of mixed debris, 62 tons of yard debris, and 42 tons of recyclable. In our streets and drainage division, the crews have begun trimming some low-hanging limbs over town roadways. Beach refuse and recycling services are on a fall schedule, twice a week. Crews primed and painted the attic space of Building C on the pier to properly seal the bare drywall. The 3rd to 9th North underground wiring project has been advertised. The bids will be opened on November 5th. The road resurfacing project has been completed with a $650,000 reimbursement coming to the town from state CTC funds, which were applied for last year. 4 of my employees last week attended an 811 sponsored training in Carolina Forest, which talked about digging into the ground without falling and hitting gas lines. And they did a mock emergency situation where somebody got injured and they flew a helicopter in to and fire and police showed up. It was pretty, from what I understand, pretty awesome training. In our grounds division, Repairs and maintenance are being performed on public restrooms and town properties. Crews are preparing Harrison Park for improvements approved by council. Crews prepared and worked on the Family Festival on October 5th. By all accounts, that went very well. In our pier division, our staff is performing daily scheduled maintenance tasks, engaging the public about pier rules and answering questions about operations. End of September reporting shows over 900 fishing passes sold. SCDNR sponsored, past tense, this past weekend, Saturday, Take a Kid Fishing Day. On Saturday, about 30 children and an adult participated in that. I heard it was a great success. They all did very well. A lot of them stayed even past the time of the event to keep on fishing. A pre-registration was held, and they got some free tackle with that, everything from DNR. So from everybody's account, it went very well. In our fleet maintenance division, mechanics completed 22 repairs on town vehicles and equipment. Additionally, 15 vehicles had preventive maintenance performed on them. That's my general report. If anybody has any specific questions, I'll be happy to answer them at this time.
Anything for Director Adair?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. John?
I'm still getting drive-bys as far as neighbors and a couple texts about down on Myrtle North, where the Dogwood Pond Lake settlement. But around there, you're seeing big areas where water is just sitting there. And I went down again today, and it's true. It's there. It was there yesterday. It's there again. So it's on Myrtle Drive, where Myrtle Drive not Myrtle Drive, I'm sorry. Myrtle Drive goes this way. I'm sorry, I'm getting my directions. At the end of 4th, and you have Myrtle on the next street. As you're heading to 3rd, there's several areas in front of people's homes. So I'll send you the
Yeah,
exact
I'll have to see
location.
exactly what it is.
Yeah, but the water is just laying there. It's not going through the pipes. It's not moving. It's just there.
Okay.
So I got,
Yeah, well, if it's correctable, we'll correct it.
Okay.
We'll have to propose a future project down the road.
Anything else?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin?
subject near and dear, do you have any idea when they're gonna start, stormwater that's been let and awarded?
And any day now.
Okay.
In fact, we have a resolution in here, in your package tonight to
Yeah.
approve a suspension of a zoning on a parcel here for a lay down to put some pipe and whatnot. So he's ready to get started.
Oh, good, good. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
I want to preface this with this, I think you're doing a great job. I think your people are doing a great job. You're an integral part of this community, and I love it. You're doing a great job. But I got a couple questions.
Sure.
Last meeting, I asked for possibly getting updates on what is going on. I got one a half an hour before this meeting, and I can't make heads or tails of it. But and I've asked for that. When I first came on council, I wanted projects, when you're starting, when you're finishing. You know, it's not an order, it's a request.
Yeah.
It's been 10 months and I haven't gotten it. Now, in June, we gave you $63,000 for different projects in town. I would assume that you have to spend that money before July. So you'll be doing a winter project. So not only me, but the people in town, the townspeople need to know, what are we doing with our money? Now, we gave you $20,000 to pave 2 beach access. I have no idea what accesses are going to be paved and when they're going to be paved. 2 shower towers, what beach access is it going to? And when is it going to be done? And also which beach access deck is going to be renovated? No idea. Do you have any idea which places you're gonna do, when you're gonna start doing them?
Yeah, every one of those things is in some form of progress. You have everything on that list that I sent you all today, and I apologize for the lateness. I had a little time today, and I put together a quick list of stuff we're working on. Every project, you have a conception stage, of course, then you have a planning and a procurement, budgeting, implementation, it's a multi-purpose center. So everything is in some stage of being done. Shower towers have been ordered. I've asked my guys to let me know the next good location, or if not, there's one that needs to be replaced that's old. It's gonna be one or the other, probably one new location and one replacement. I don't have the exact locations yet, but by the time I get them in, I'll know exactly where they're gonna go. The beach accesses, first quote I got, this is a lot of phone calls, 1,000 emails, getting prices and stuff like that. First price I got for pavers and access was $45,000, way more for one, more than what budget. So I don't think that's a good avenue to go down. I met a vendor that provides precast panels of pervious concrete. Big squares, like 3x3, 4x4. I think it'll be a lot more cost efficient to do it that way. The water can still go through them and people can still drive on them. I'm getting prices on that right now. First one that'll get done is more than likely 4th Avenue North, because that's the busiest one as far as the parking revenue goes. So that's really probably where we want to start. Whether I do 1, 2, depends on how much I can do for the money. Again, all these answers will be coming. The beach rake, which we bought through ATAX funds, that was budgeted originally, came in over what we thought was going to come in at, what we had budgeted. So that had to be bought, and so something might have to fall off. I can't spend more than what's available. So we may not be able to do a beach deck this year. It's really, if the council wants to exceed, I'll bring it up to Jerry. If they want to exceed what we've budgeted, approved so far, then maybe I can do it. I am getting permits though to build 5 more. You can it's a 5-year permit. So, so everything on that list is all things that are in some stage of being done right now. Either they've been ordered, we're getting prices.
But if you could have just given us on a spreadsheet or something like that, exactly what you just told us. You ordered this, you ordered that, you're planning on doing, nothing's locked into stone. We're anticipating doing 2nd Avenue North. We're anticipating do this, do that. It just gives us an idea of what's going on. The rake, I don't know, I'm not happy about the rake. We're taking money from one thing, we gave it to you and put it into rake without asking. I mean, this is the town's money. I don't know if I'm crazy about that idea, but if honestly, I don't care about movie cards. Sometimes I don't mind sitting here till midnight, but stuff like that, I don't care about. What I do care about is what projects you're gonna do, when you think you're gonna do them, how far along you gotten. As you say, I'm gonna do 2nd Avenue, do pavers and a shower. And then you put down when you got a permit, when you ordered the stuff, when you did this, just to give us an idea of the progress, what's going on. I don't think it's a hard request. It'll be just nice to know, because people like to know what is going on with their money. Thank you. My time is up.
I was watching.
I know you were.
Anything else for Director Dare? I think that the one that Ms. Shawn brought up is probably the one we wrote about in email, the swash going out and, getting cut off.
Swash between the lake and the ocean, the Myrtle Swash?
Well, I think it's getting backed up because the tides are pushing it, and it's periodically happening.
Again.
And that is a low swash, so it tends to be pretty
It's
full.
a low spot in town.
Yeah.
And, obviously people are concerned about, there's not any threat of free street flooding. The swash gets plugged up pretty much every high tide cycle.
Right. And you're there 3 times a week?
Years and years and years.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All around, year round, clearing it out, open it up, and then the next tide closes it, and.
That's correct. Yeah, it doesn't stop. There's no end to it.
All right. Okay. Anything else? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to the finance report. Director Gruber?
Good evening. Through September, we are at 963,000 in revenue in the general fund and 2 million in expenses. And I wanted to put a sentence there to remind you that first few months of the year, we're going to run like that until our taxes start coming in. In September, we had 18 new business licenses, 12 were new businesses, 4 were new contractors, and 2 were out of town, and we had 4 brick and mortar businesses that closed. Accommodations tax funds, we still have not seen that yet, so I'm hoping we'll see that next week. Hospitality, we've collected 1.17 million, and local aid tax, we've done 319,000. On our capital project side, we're continuing the road paving and the Santee Cooper underground utility project. For stormwater, we collected 4,000, and the Northside Drainage Project continues for the FY25 budget. In the pier fund, we generate 168,000 in operating revenue, and our expenses total 78,000. Sanitation, our revenue is at 382,000, and our expenses are 341. Parking, we've brought in 275,000, and their expenditures were 69,000. The investment pool, interest rate is going down a little bit. We're at 5.34%. The finance department has continued working on preparing for the annual audit. The auditors, Penny, will be here next week. The finance department has also been working on the annual state pay tax report, continued work on the internal audit of all payable accounts. We've gone back multiple periods and reconciled all the insurance accounts. We prepared and submitted the DHAC report, and we are working on developing a cash flow projection so we can start this budget process soon for next year. And I had a question earlier about capital. I just wanted to make sure everyone understood how all the capital worked. We have an amount that gets set aside through each tax that comes through, about the equivalent of 3 mills that gets set aside. That's what we pay for equipment for public works and other things in the general fund. And then hospitality pays for your public safety capital. And then you have the capital projects fund itself, which is where your road paving happens. And that's usually CTC funds and the road fee from the county. And I got another one. Yeah, the underground utility project, that's being paid for that Santee Cooper. I just wanted to make sure that was known. Also, the list of projects were in the budget ordinance because all of this was gone through during the budget process. So you can find those in the budget ordinance.
All right, very good. Any questions for Director Gruber?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
I have a question about pay tax and hospitality tax.
Okay.
One of our citizens has brought it to my attention. The accommodation tax, we charge 0.5% for the local.
Local is 1.5% and 0.5%.
So the point was that other places, like Myrtle Beach, is 3%. North Myrtle Beach is 2%. Pawleys Island is 2%. Horry County is 1%. We can, according to this person, we can impose 3%. Who determines what percentage we get in accommodation tax, local accommodations?
I'll have to get back to you on that.
I would have, I just got this, so.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I can't remember if that has to go to a vote.
Us?
Through, yeah.
Okay. No, because if everyone else is, up there, why don't we raise our accommodation tax percentage?
And there's rules on it too, so we have to get with the state and figure out if it's even possible.
I'm just throwing it out there for a possibility.
Yeah.
I've never heard about doing this in the 16 years I've lived here. And if we could charge the tourists who come here a little bit extra, then our taxes might go down. Or might,
There's different rules, and we might be under that rule where,
well, I don't understand why Foley's Island gets 2% and Surfside gets 0.5%. But that, and the numbers I'm getting is not written in stone, it's from somebody who
okay,
probably knows what he's talking about, but I'm not sure if he's dead on the numbers. But if the numbers, his numbers are right, I don't understand why we're giving away the store.
yeah. I wish,
Okay.
if I'd known, I would have brought that with me.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I only got this at the last minute, but I thought I'd ask you.
Yeah, no,
Not
I'm
to
glad
put you
you
on the
did.
spot, but just
Yeah,
start thinking about this. And that's what hospitality tax too, both of them.
right, hospitality and local aid
Right,
tax.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate it, thank you.
Anything else for Director Gruber? Okay, I have one. You've mentioned the last couple meetings that we run behind for the first few months of the fiscal year until the property taxes come in is the big thing. We've all seen our assessments, I think now. When does the town start to see that money?
The majority of it comes in January, but we should start seeing some soon. I'm thinking that when I get the information from Warren County, like last month it was only 19,000, I think. Tax bills went out October 1st.
Okay.
So we should start seeing that pick up, but the big chunk of it, you won't see till January.
And the projected total amount, do you know that off the top of your head? Yeah, no. Do you have an estimate? I know, I did not ask
What we
this
did in the
advance.
budget,
Yeah,
I don't think it's really, no, I don't. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we went up, because our assessed value went up. Whatever we needed to go. I can't remember.
and I don't remember it either, so,
Mr. Mayor, I think it was a little over 4.2 million.
Something like that, yes.
I
You're
don't
right.
remember, something else behind it, but I don't remember. It was 4.2 plus.
I was thinking in the 4 range,
It
so,
is,
good.
it is. I
Okay.
just don't remember the exact number.
Okay, so that will change a lot of this in a hurry. Yeah,
Right,
so.
right.
We just hear comments that we're spending twice as much as we're taking in
But
and all that kind of stuff, so,
this is fund accounting,
yes, understand.
and you gotta look at your cash flow, and as long as we're keeping up with operations.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
bring that out. It'd
Yeah.
probably be good in November to, maybe spend a couple of minutes on that,
Okay,
the projections and,
yeah, we've been working
where
on
we start
that.
to get ahead.
Diligently
Yeah.
working on that.
well, and of course, we're gonna do the A-tax allocations pretty soon too.
Yeah,
and all
and
of
well,
that
the other
stuff.
thing I've asked that Millie's helping me with is we're looking at 10 years worth of history on certain accounts. Because I'm still all getting familiar with stuff,
Yeah.
So we want to see where we are and what we think, and is it going down, is it going up?
Mr. Mayor,
All right, Mr. Stamey.
as I've been on council, it's a every year thing. It happens the same way every year. We always, this time of year, we're low. And as of January comes around, it always picks up. So this ain't nothing uncommon for us.
The taxes are your main source of
Yeah.
income for general fund. So that's why you have to make sure your cash flow is equivalent to get you through those months.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin.
and I'm pretty sure this is in our budget. We have 4 months of reserves that we set
Correct.
aside so that we sat in a conference a year ago, and there were a lot of small towns that had to borrow money to make payroll in November and December.
Yes.
And because we have the 4 months ahead, we don't have a cash flow problem
Correct.
unless something bad happens.
Right, which we have a disaster
Correct.
in 1.2.
Yeah.
But that's, I'm glad you guys have that practice, because that is a practice that every municipality, every government needs to have. So I was pleasantly pleased when I found out you were doing that already.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, Director Gruber. We will now move to communications and events report. Ms. Tabitha Mull.
Good evening, everyone. Can you believe that Halloween is literally here? It's crazy. All right, so let's start with communications. For website updates, I am doing something a little different and educating each department head on their page of the website and how they can absolutely not wait on me to do something. So you guys heard that the last meeting, so they're pretty excited about that. The tourism advertisements, they are continuously working and driving traffic. Excited to announce that our engagement on social media is up 68%. We just continue to grow that. People are interested in what is posted and the communication back and forth on those social media posts. And we gained 543 followers over the last month, and this was last week. We've actually gained more as of this week. Hurricane updates were fluid through all my partners and myself. I really appreciate teamwork with the guys I work with, so thank you guys for that. And then our Q4 newsletter was mailed out. I'm not sure if it has hit houses yet. I'm still waiting on mine to hit, but I know it was mailed out the first week of October. You gotta love snail mail. Okay, as we conclude the peer concerts and the music in Memorial Park, those have both concluded. We will kick those back up next year with a caveat about peer concerts. So I'm doing a start, stop, continue on the actual peer concerts. So more to come with that in the future. I'm going to pause here because the Family Festival was hugely successful, and it could not have happened without my Public Works Department partners, my Police Department partners, and my Fire Department partners to make that all happen. We were a very well-oiled machine, and I got to tell you that it was a flawless from the beginning to the end execution. And teamwork makes the dream work. That's how we do it. I also cannot thank Skip and Rob enough for participating in 5 apple pies that you guys had to go through. So pretty amazing. They got through it. It was 5 apple pies. I know it was just terrible, right? So with that, you guys did a great job. Thank you so much for participating. I look forward to more participation in our future contests that we're going to be rolling out. More to come on that. We did our employee benefits fair at the fire department on the 9th, and it was super well attended. About 54% of our full-time employees were there, which was really exciting for the first one. So that made me really excited. The second annual committee appreciation luncheon, thank you guys all for coming to that. That was held on October the 10th, and we had over 40 people in attendance. So it continues to take legs, grow legs, and continue to grow. The Business with a Twist, again, that was even a bigger event than it was previous. Thank you, Harry, for being there. I got to tell you, that event right there continues to grow as well. So like I said, going back to the engagement piece, like people are getting it. They understand what we're doing in town. So I really appreciate that. Huge thing here, registration is open for the Halloween evening trick or treat. That is October 31st. You could go on and register your house to let the kiddos and families know that you're going to be handing out candy. So right now, kids, before this map comes out, kids just go to random houses if the light's on or the light's not on or whatever it is. So right now they can actually get on this, you guys can get on this map, and then the kids will get this map and they can know exactly what houses are participating. So thank you for the teamwork to make that dream work, Harry. All right, registration is open for residents that want to be on the Trolley Lights route. So we all know that the Tree Lighting Festival, and then there's a Trolley Nights, actually we're gonna call it a festival as well. So it's a one night only thing. So you can register your house if you want to be on the map where the trolley like goes around town and sees that. So Mr. Shamey, I expect your name to be on there, sir. So he does a beautiful job. So anyone that wants to register, please do so. Just go to surfsidebeach.org and events on both of those things. And I'm just asking that we all light up Surfside Beach. So the residents love that event. Upcoming is our Halloween golf cart parade. That is Saturday. Not only that, we have Champion Autism Network Best of the Beach Balls Meatball Challenge. That takes place from 11 to 2. Of course, the Myrtle Beach Car Show is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And they're gonna have like lots of candy and trick or treating for the kids out in that area. Golf cart parade kicks off at 3 o'clock. That's gonna be at Poplar and Borgata area, and then travel down Surfside Beach. So you can still register for that as well. Upcoming is the Health and Wellness Fair on 11/14. And then I do want to point out something on here for the Christmas tree lighting this year. I'm sorry, for the, not Christmas tree lighting, the trolley rides nights. So normally we have 3 nights or 2 nights, depends on what year it is, but people have to stand in line. And they can't leave that line because they're gonna lose their place on the trolley. So this year we were able to fund, with the existing fund, the 3 trolleys that will be in the park. We will be issuing tickets, so you do not have to wait in a long line and enjoy the festivities that are out there. We're gonna have a lot of fun things for kids. We're gonna have some food. We're gonna have some music. So that's why I was saying, like, we're basically gonna have a trolley night festival. So it's gonna be a good time and no line. You don't need to stand in line to get on, one for the north and one for the south, and then hop back off and go backwards. It's literally, you get a trolley, and that trolley travels the entire map, and there will be 3 trolleys traveling the entire time. So that will help people a lot when they get there. So, and then everything else that we have going on is Movie in the Stars, Breakfast with Santa, the golf cart parade, and of course our huge Christmas parade that we have. So that's my report. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Ball?
Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
for those trolley rides, how do you get a ticket?
So when you check in, like when you come to the park, in Memorial Park, there's gonna be a setup table and it'll say tickets. Yeah, so we're gonna issue your ticket and then we will like literally tell you, okay, trolley route, ticket numbers, da-da-da-da, this is when you go.
With the Halloween trick or treat locations, do you have a list of those locations?
Yes, so I will be producing the map.
Okay, but what I'm getting at is, years ago, I remember it used to be that if you have a sex crime, you're not allowed to decorate your house. I don't know if the chief is, so can you get that letter or that map to the chief?
Sure.
And make sure there's no pedophiles on that list?
Oh, absolutely.
It is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll run the map by you and then I'll produce it after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have a number of people in the neighborhood.
Oh, wow. Good call.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Shawn?
just want to thank you because I hear such great compliments of the activities that's going on. People that, especially parents, mom, dad, that they couldn't afford to take their child to a certain thing, and the freebies, they've just expressed so much appreciation. So, and I'm all about the kids. I love when we do everything about the kids. But I will note at my address, 411 Cedar Drive North, we actually have 4 houses that sit at my house that day. So when the kids come to my address, they're going to get 4 houses worth of candy.
Excellent. All right, everybody heard that, right? Go, Sean. And thank you, Sean. It is my honor to serve as, the leader of the Family Beach events. So thank you for that. I just want to make all our families super happy. So regardless, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you very
Thank
much. And if I
you.
have to do any other apple pie contests, I'm willing.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It broke my heart that I couldn't participate.
All right, we're gonna move on to Planning, Building, and Zoning Director Davis. Who?
Good evening. Yeah, I was gonna mention that also, that in my report that my name did change. I waited a little while, but it's official now. But So our
What, you gonna
department,
change your mind?
I
I'm
wanted
sorry.
a little room then. Our department successfully corrected 31 addresses in the land record system. The building inspector position, we offered the candidate the position to which he declined. He decided he wanted to stay in Tennessee. We're gonna keep the position open and we'll continue interviews. We'll still have Safeco performing inspections and planning reviews on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Board of Zoning Appeals, they didn't have a meeting this month. Planning Commission, they held their regular monthly meeting and they had a roundtable discussion with the business committee prior to the meeting. And that went really well. I think that it was really productive and they got a lot done. I think they'll be meeting more in the future. So it was a good collaboration. Continuing education and professional development, Chris Cochran gained certifications in property maintenance inspections and sediment and erosion control. The CRS program, we submitted our annual recertification on October 9th, 2024. So should be hearing something back from that soon. We reached out to the Program for Public Information Committee to schedule a meeting for October 30th at 2 p.m. We're trying to get that back going so that we can get some points for our CRX program. Our outreach projects have started within Town Hall, and those will continue and we will be expanding outreach efforts moving forward. Currently, I'm exploring the CRS coordinator's manual to determine areas and activities to be utilized in ways that we can gain more points. Standard operating procedures. We created a department standard operating procedures manual. It's in progress and we've actually almost completed it. It covers all procedures within the planning, building, and zoning department. It contains examples of applications, forms, permits. I don't have it on here, but ordinances, etc. Basically breaks down the processes into following categories of planning and zoning, building, and code enforcement. The goal of the development of an SOP was to create consistency and continuity within the department.
Good idea.
Upcoming, we're gonna have the creation of a Facebook page to be utilized for outreach efforts and communication, and that'll be, primarily for CRS outreach and stuff. We'll be updating the website to create links to other resources, correct any information, and make it more user-friendly. And then we're gonna explore the creation of an email account strictly for permitting in an effort to organize permits, because right now we sometimes I get a permit, Angie gets a permit, Chris might get a permit, and so everyone's getting, and so we're gonna look into getting just one permitting email so that all permits can be submitted through that email. And that's all.
All right, very good, thank you. Any questions for Director Davis?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinka?
you've made great strides in the short period of time you've been here, but I'm gonna bring up the tree again. I know we've been waiting for the police department. They're not getting a lot of cooperation. You can proceed on a civil and go ahead and issue fines to the contractor. And that'll run the rats out in a real hurry. But I just don't want to sweep that under the rug. So you can look into it, but I feel like you can proceed civilly even though we don't have a criminal case or haven't finalized a criminal case. Anyway, just a thought. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Love seeing the progress you've made.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
I got two questions. I believe we were working on something for derelict vehicles. You couldn't have them in your front yard? or-
Yes, sir, we are. We're gonna finalize that soon at planning commission. And it'll be coming forward.
Because what happens in this town is that we start on something and then we go off to something else.
Yes, sir.
I totally forget it. We didn't forget this.
No, sir, we did not. It's going, actually, it'll go probably for it should be, they should finish it at this planning commission meeting and then it should be coming to you all.
And my second, well, first a statement and then a question. All around town, we have things that go against the ordinances. Some people get away with it, some people get caught. I don't know if our ordinances in the present day are correct or the way they should be. To give you, for instance, flags, lights in the windows, covered windows in stores. There's an ordinance also about oceanfront construction sites. There can be no construction materials allowed to be stored overnight. That is crazy. How can anyone build a house if you have to remove every single piece of construction equipment and take it out and then put it back in? So my question to you, do you have any kind of plan to start looking at these crazy ordinances and possibly fix them? I mean, some of these things are from, I don't know, Stone Ages.
Yes, sir. Actually, a majority of our ordinance is from 1980. I verified that. A lot of what we have, we've done updates, don't get me wrong, there have been some updates and stuff, but a lot of the core ordinance is, and there are some crazy things that are still in there that we are, and I had a plan, I was addressing it, I was trying to do like a complete overhaul, but that was gonna take too long. So now I'm just gonna go by each section and kind of
That's
re-strategize that.
I mean, the majority of our ordinances agree, but some of them are
Oh, yes.
really, and what happens is that they don't get enforced to some people and then they get enforced to others, and it's not right. So we need to find good ordinances and then enforce them.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinker.
I can't remember what month, but it was probably the fall of 23. Mr. Shanahan brought to us a program for the planning and zoning. It had 5 people in it. I don't know what's happened to that, because I think he had 2 inspectors or a combination inspector enforcer. But I would go back and look, because I'm pretty sure the council at that time approved the 5, and now we're down to 4. But your department is so important to what goes on in this town. I think contractors want to get their things approved and get started, and you have to have people check up on them, and there's so much to do in your department. I don't see how you do it with 4 people. And Sherry may be able to help you find it, but I'm pretty sure we approved that department would have 5 people somewhere. I know it's not in the budget, but you need to look at it for next year.
I am gonna look into it and think about that for next year.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, I have a question. Building inspector, he said he decided to stay in Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, I'm assuming he was looking in good faith, to come here. So
Yes,
was it a
sir.
financial thing? Did he say?
It was a financial thing, and then when we went back to him and asked, what would you be looking for? He just said he decided to stay in Tennessee.
Okay, all right. Because, it sounds a lot like the fire inspector discussion we just had, so definitely want to make sure we're being competitive. And then the CRS program, you said you submitted the annual recertification October 9th, and you expect to hear something soon.
Yes, sir.
Week or 2, a month?
I'm not, you never know, with that, to be honest. I don't want to tell you a week or 2. I'd be better off to tell you about 2 months, to be honest, because sometimes it takes a little while for them to get through it.
It's federal, so.
I didn't want to say that either.
I'll say
Yes,
it.
sir.
I'll say it. Okay, anything else for Director Davis?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Stabey?
where are we in looking for another inspector? Was there anybody else put in for that job besides the guy from Tennessee?
We had several, but they didn't have the certifications that they needed to be able to start, so we just reopened the position and re-advertised it.
There wasn't nobody to reach back to and talk to that had put in before?
No, sir, not that had the credentials we needed.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Coleman?
I got one more quick question. So, the inspector applied for the job, and he applied for a job that had a wide range, is that correct? This is what I've been talking about since I got on. We advertise for jobs and it could be 80,000 to 125, and we're only willing to give them 80. So I don't understand why we're wasting our time by putting an unreasonable salary. And then when the people come in thinking they're gonna get 125, we go, oh, you got the job, but it's only 80. I think this is a big downfall in this town when they do that. Advertise, give the person a real number or an approximate number. But the wide range of, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, you put a lot of time and effort into finding these people. And you interview them and you do all this. And we are really wasting our time by advertising jobs with salaries we have no intention of giving. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes the department report, so we'll move on to business. We now have the second reading of our moratorium ordinance. And I'm going to ask for a motion to proceed.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Wells.
I make a motion that we approve the second reading, I guess is the word, for resolution number 24-0179.
No, we're doing it.
Oh.
That one.
70.
Are you gonna just stay here?
I didn't know if you needed me for anything.
Well, we'll call you back up if
Okay.
we do. Thank you.
Probably. Okay, so we're doing,
Yes.
okay.
Seven
For
action.
ordinance 24-970.
Yes.
An ordinance of the town of Surfside Beach, South Carolina, imposing a temporary moratorium on the issuance of new building and zoning permits for cannabis dispensing businesses, smoke shops, tobacco stores, and businesses selling tobacco paraphernalia, invoking application of the pending ordinance doctrine and protecting existing vested rights as required by applicable law.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, yeah, I mean, we have covered this ad nauseum. The planning commission is going to do the detailed work. We're just imposing the moratorium for up to 6 months, and I don't think there's really much more to say about it at this point. With that, Ms. Medina?
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Krecklo,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes, motion carries unanimously, and it is passed. So we will now move on to the next resolution, 24-0179. Can I have a motion for that?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin.
I make a motion that we approve resolution number 24-0179, authorizing the mayor and city council to execute an American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, stormwater infrastructure program between the town of Surfside Beach and the South Carolina Office of Resilient to fund a stormwater infrastructure improvement project that will mitigate the impact of future disasters.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I think it might be beneficial to have Director Adair come up and give us a little background before we start our discussion.
Certainly. As a lot of you will recall, we've been talking about this drainage project for quite a while. We had obtained originally through the American Rescue Plan money, $750,000 from the State Office of Resiliency that they were giving out. Additionally, another $500,000 we got from Horry County, same pot of money, ARPA money from the American Rescue Plan. We signed an agreement that we would own and maintain the project after it was done. And any excess funds above the grant money that we'd be responsible for. That was months and months ago. I forget exactly what month it was. Very recently, they've recalculated it and their available funding and the nature of our job. And they've basically added $450,000 to the pot. So we're going from $750,000 to $1,175,000, which they're going to contribute to this drainage project that we're doing. It doesn't happen too often, so I'm not complaining.
No way.
So this is basically a formality to accept that. That's what we need this resolution passed, to accept those new terms. I don't see that there's any downside to doing that.
All right, thank you
Mr.
very
Mayor.
much. Mr. Walls.
Just one point of clarification on this. When I was reviewing this and so forth, I don't quite understand what point number 2 under the SCOR letter that you provided us in our packet. I'm worried about that 53%.
Well, what that is that the way it's gonna be billed out is that, the South Carolina Office of Resiliency is the one handling the whole bid process. So the contractor will be billing them directly for the drainage work, and then they're going to bill the town for 53% of that invoice, and they'll pay the rest out of this $1,175,000 until it's exhausted through all the various monthly. Usually there's a monthly draw on the project of this side.
So what could that mean to the town, that 53%? Are we gonna
It's
have
just
to
a-
come out of pocket or?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well,
But it's budgeted.
Yeah, our stormwater fund will pay the overage, and then we could take that 53%. The first 500,000 of it, we're gonna back bill the county for that 500,000. So by the time their $1,175,000 and that 500,000 is exhausted, the project's pretty much paid for. So at the end of the day, our stormwater fund really isn't gonna have an impact.
I just didn't like the way it was presented in that percentage. It's like.
Yeah, they had to come up with a number.
Voting the line
Yeah,
share
Yeah,
this
but that's the
thing?
mechanics of it.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Stamey. John, back when we started this project, you had this figured out in several stages and figured out what we were gonna be able to pay for. Wasn't that right? Didn't you have it figured that some stage of it, if we'd done it, it would cost this much, and we was gonna check, see if we had enough money to do a complete project?
Yeah, we weren't sure this is before we knew about any grants.
Okay, so now we're gonna do the complete project.
Correct.
It's fully funded, the whole project, for what you started out with.
Yes.
Okay.
Way more than we could have ever hoped for.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was talking about that was before I knew about any grants, and we had to see what the bids came in at. We were
Well,
talking a couple of
that
years
was-
ago.
That was back at the time where we had so much money, then we were gonna have to pay for it, and they said, well, they'll pay for it if you turn it over to them.
Yeah, well, we had X amount of dollars in the stormwater
Yeah.
utility fund, so if that wouldn't have covered the entire project,
Right.
we would have had to cut a part of it out.
Right.
And bid it out like unit pricing, but we don't have to do that anymore.
So we're gonna get the whole project done.
That's correct.
Thanks.
Awesome. All right, any other questions for Director Adair?
Okay, we have a motion on the table basically to accept an additional $450,000 from the state Office of Resilience. So I think we can proceed to the vote. Ms. Medina?
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mr. Stamey?
Yes.
Mr. Kreckle?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Ms. Fallon?
Yes.
Mayor Kraus?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. It is approved. Okay, we're now going to move on to item C, Resolution 24-0180. I'd like to have a motion for that, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Stamey?
I make a motion that we would accept 24-0180, the resolution of the town of Surfside Beach, to temporary suspend zoning enforcement for PIN number 46101020 009.
Wow. Zeros run together.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Again, would you just give us a brief rundown?
Well, certainly, it dovetails with the last resolution. The winning bidder in this stormwater drainage project is Atlas Construction, which is a local contractor, which we've dealt with before. He has gotten permission, one of the streets that's being done is Second Avenue North, from Poplar down to Myrtle Drive. He's gotten permission from the landowner to utilize the empty lot on the northwest corner of Second North and Poplar, just to lay down for some of his pipe and equipment and stuff during that project. And I advised him that we would have to get the zoning suspended, as we did with the consensus lot on Highway 17, because the C1 does not allow for that sort of open storage. And that's why we're bringing this resolution to council. So just for the duration of the drainage project, we will suspend the zoning on that particular lot.
All right, any questions for Director Adair? All right, with that, Ms. Medina?
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckloff,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
And yes as well. So the motion is again passed unanimously. Thank you, Director Adair.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7D, decision of the town council on application for revocation of the business license of Delta Vape Shop. At the hearing, we agreed to have a written decision prepared by the attorney, which we got last week. And I need a motion to accept that.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Stamey.
I make a motion that we accept the attorney's application, or paperwork that he put forward for the bake shop.
Second. All right, we already had the hearing. Is there any other discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr.
I
Kreckloff.
would just like to mention that the owner of that vape shop withdrew his appeal. And so I really don't know why we even are going through with this, but formalities, whatever. Okay, but he did withdraw it.
Okay, I guess I didn't realize he withdrew it.
It's in the audio.
Okay.
Mr.
Mayor, I recall him saying so that my thinking was given, you withdraw it prior to the hearing commencing, but since the hearing had already commenced, my thinking was that it was probably made sense for the town to avoid any kind of adverse confusion, to go ahead and render a decision since we had already gotten to the evidentiary stage at that point.
Okay, and I do remember him making some comment, but it was in the same time that he also decided not to cross-examine anybody or present any evidence, so it kind of all ran together to me, so I apologize for that, for confusing those, I guess. Any other discussion? All right, so we have a motion on the table to approve this written description of the decision. Ms. Medina?
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckloff,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes, motion carries unanimously and is passed. And with that, we have concluded our business for tonight. We now move into public comments on any item. Hey.
Gary White, 315B, Lakeside Drive. I just want to make a comment. The golf and gaming place down there and off Poplar, beautiful. It's a beautiful place. It's awesome. They have a fire pit in the middle. They have gaming. They have things for the kids. And I think they did a great job. And I just wanted to say that to people. I haven't heard anything about it in the council or anything else. But I just wanted to say that my granddaughter went there. She did had her 13th birthday party in a couple weeks, last week. And they all had a great time. They played golf. And they did a great job having it from 17 in there and also on the back. So they pretty good. I just want to help you that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We don't really engage with the public, but before I ask anyone else to come in, Ms. Mull could probably give us a little info. We've got a soft grand opening, a mini grand opening.
It's my pleasure, actually. So on November the 11th, first of all, we have the Veterans Day service that will be at 2 o'clock. In conjunction with that, Mulligan's will have an open house grand opening ribbon cutting ceremony from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So please go down and support them. They're really excited. They're going to give you free mini golf for 2 hours. There's going to be the Tropical Jammers, those people that like my steel drums. So we've got them down there. There's going to be a couple of trucks down there, like food trucks, and the arcade. So the arcade games would be free as well. So bring your family. Support local and have a good time, and that's November the 11th, 4 to 6, after our Veterans Day ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? All right, with that, we're going to move on to town council discussion comments, and I'm going to start with Mr. Sting.
Thanks for everybody coming out tonight, appreciate it, and I think we had a pretty decent meeting. It wasn't too bad, though. But as I told you earlier, that I did, went to a conference this past week, and we, at the conference, had a half day on the police of the state, and our second half was on the fire department. And it really hit home when they got to talking about what it was going to cost to do these upgrades if this passed. And as Chris Kenton said, they said it's probably 2 years. But there are going to be some of these things that come along. What it is, we don't know yet. And that was one of the biggest concerns for me, because we have just got our fire department staffed up to where it can run. And if this new law comes into effect, we're going to be asking for a whole lot of money, not just a little bit. It's going to be a lot. So we have, on this council, have a couple more months to make a decision to whether we want to keep the fire department here in Surfside, which I hope we do. I don't, but you've got to look at it as a long-term deal. How much money this is going to cost us, and how much money you as citizens are willing to pay. So that was one of my big concerns for the chief. I talked to him today. I went over to the fire department to talk to him before we were blindsided with this tonight. And I want him to keep us informed of what's going on. And it wouldn't hurt for the citizens to reach out to your state representative and make a comment that we don't know how we're going to fund stuff like this that's going on. Because, as you know, just to get our fire department staffed up, that ain't counting new trucks that we're going to have to buy later on, which is probably $2 million. These are things that we got to look at as a whole. And I know that if I'm willing to do anything to keep you and me safe in this town. If it's to go to Horry County, that would be my suggestion to do. But I don't want that. But if, as I told some people when we met, I will. If it comes down to safety. And if it comes down to breaking this town, I will. Hopefully it don't come to that. With that, good night.
All right, thank you. Mr. Coleman?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out again. I was away for a few days, and when I usually go by the pier every day. So I went for my walk today, and I don't know if you all know about it, there's a big flagpole with a flag out there. It's great. I mean, things are happening. Most of them are positive. We got our fire department up and running with people, and it's working. You got multiple apparatus going out. Now, I agree with Mr. Steen. If what that paper says is going to happen, it's going to be a nightmare, but it's going to be a nightmare for the whole state. So I honestly don't think it's going to go through. Some of it might, some of it might not. We have police officers who are coming back to the police department. And I don't know on the south side, but on the north side, we used to have a swan. We actually had 2 swans. And they had a baby, and the baby got killed by a coyote. And then the mother got ran over, and the lonely father swan, all of a sudden he disappeared. Well, I looked out my backyard the other day, and I saw this big white bird. I go, it couldn't be a swan. I tell my wife, there's a swan in the lake. She goes, get out of here. She looks, it's gone. Like, what the heck? Well, I'm walking around, and I'm on 7th Avenue North, and by the water over there. And sure enough, we got a swan, beautiful swan. And he used that little lake there, that's what, I guess it's now, so that's how he got away from me. But new things are happening, even the swans are coming back. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, it really is. So, and like Mrs. Thamey said, you know, this is bigger than the council here about getting things done about the fire department. You gotta let your state representatives know. It's a big thing. It really is. I honestly think it's not gonna happen for the majority of it. But we need to be prepared just in case it does. Because we're on the straight of going with our fire department. I mean, chief's gonna make a recommendation. But it looks good, but if it comes up with this thing, it don't look so good. So you gotta do your job. I mean, I'm gonna call up, and I'm gonna write letters. All of you here and everybody out in internet land, you gotta write your state reps. Let them know how you feel. That's the only way things get done. Because they like to get voted in, for whatever reason, I don't know. But, all right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Walls. You picked up that.
Yeah, I catch on pretty quick. I just wanted to say, how proud I am. I'm sorry Heather got out of here before I could. But of the department heads, the job that y'all are doing, I appreciate it, and I know that our residents do. I hear positive comments all the time, so keep up the great work, y'all. And again, I don't get into this OSHA thing with the fire departments. I mean, it's going to be the buzz for a while now, especially for us. But I really, and I'm going to depend on you, Chief, but I don't see where it's going to, they just can't put some of these things in place and run 206 of the smaller town municipalities in this town will absolutely not be able to afford to support their fire departments. So I just don't see how they're going to cover that. So anyway, but we're going to count on you, and that's going to be the hot topic for us to consider going into the end of December when we have to let the county know. But anyway, just thanks y'all for being here. Thanks for all the feedback you're giving us. And again, the department heads, thank you all for the great job you're doing running our town. We appreciate you. See you next time.
All right, thanks so much. Mr. Krecklau.
Well, I will start with echoing pretty much what everyone else has said, but I'll add a little more to it. The NFPA, which is the National Fire Protection Association, they share their knowledge in all areas of firefighting and develop standards to mitigate loss of life and property, among other services. And they do a very good job at it. OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, has decided to take some of the NFPA standards and turn them in, and standards are basically what you want to strive for to have a very good department. OSHA wants to turn them into regulations, which will have a major impact in the smaller towns and cities, not just here in South Carolina, but nationwide. And with OSHA, if they make it a regulation, then along with it comes penalties. So if you don't do certain things, you can either be sued because you weren't doing it, or you can be fined by OSHA for not doing it. And OSHA is not fun to deal with usually. And I bring it up because like everyone has said, that we have to make a decision about keeping the fire department local. And I'm still for keeping it local. But I do believe that if this, it's called 1910.156, if it passes, which everybody says it's going to get changed, I believe it will too, but it takes people writing to their national people, not just the state ones. The state ones help too, but it's OSHA's a national organization. And you need to write Senator Rice and other people up there that can do something about it. And I do agree that more than likely it will get changed because it affects fire departments in New York, not New York City, but upstate New York. It just affects fire departments everywhere. And to be honest, I believe most all of the proposed changes are very good, but to do all the changes at once or be liable for penalties, it'd be very hard, if not impossible, to do it for smaller departments like ours. So anyway, with that being said, you can go to a website, it's scfirefighters.org, and just look at the top menu, there's an advocacy. And if you click on that, it'll take you down and you can read this 1910.156. And you can read what the State Firefighters Association has sent a letter rebutting it and whatnot, but it takes a grassroots push, I believe, to actually get something done. The hearings for this 1910.156 were already closed, so the public hearings for public input is already gone. Now, it won't take effect probably for 2 years, if then even, but I do think that in order for it not to happen, it needs to be addressed. So anyway, thanks for everyone coming and listening, and I hope you take this seriously because it could be a big problem. Thanks to all our town staff for keeping the town running, and see you next time. Good night.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Kinkin.
Well, first I want to thank Sergeant Pinto and the police department for getting rid of a problem here in town that we don't want. From what I understood that happened at Thursday's meeting, they've got some more work to do, and I'm sure they'll take care of it. I want to encourage everybody to get out and vote. Early voting's open. Please exercise your right. There are things in there that we need to voice our opinion. Keep in mind all the celebration going on this weekend. We have the meatball, the car show, the golf cart parade. There's a lot going on. When Tabitha sends some of these out, she wears me out just reading them. I don't know how she gets them all pulled together. But anyway, she does a great job, and so do all our departments. We have a great running town. And when you see staff out, thank them for what they do. I try to wave at all John's people when they come by, talk to a few of them. But they're usually too busy to stop and talk and just keep on going. But I do like to see them and all the work that gets done in this town. And the same way with our police and fire. And she's gone, but we're making great strides in our planning and zoning. It's a department that has been plagued with turnover, and it's great to have her here and seeing the things that she's trying to accomplish. Just give her some time because it's getting better. I think we live in a great town. Somebody asked me one time, what do I consider Surfside? And I said, paradise. I said, I've been here almost 63 years on and off. Lived here for almost 11. But I love being here. And a lot of my neighbors feel the same way about it as I do. So we're very blessed to be here, and thank our department heads for making it as pleasant as it can be. And with that, I see y'all in 3 weeks, I believe, and God bless all of you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Shawn.
Again, living, I came here 8 years ago, never had visited this place. And it is truly, like Bill said, it's paradise. Life is good. Yes, we have our problems, but at the same time, if you look at a year ago, what our police department and our fire department looked like a year ago and what it looks like now, you guys are doing great. The challenges, you're meeting them. And we'll deal with the new challenges as they come. I think there'll be some differences, I'm sure. But the what ifs, it's all gotta settle down and figure it out. But I think the town and the people are up for it, so we will manage, we will get through it, the next steps. I do wanna, say again, a big thank you for the people that donated decorations for me to decorate the senior center on 10th. A lot of our residents don't even know we still have a senior center. It's run by Horry County, but I'm in the process of changing that to get the word out. I'm going to suggest that we get the committee back to help with that. There's a lot of good people in there. They just want people to talk to. So look forward to that because I'm working on that. I was reading ordinance today about all that, why it was named and why it stopped. So the next meeting, I'm going to have it on the agenda to create the committee again, or suggest to create the committee. Once again, our employees are great. The waving is going on. You don't know how happy somebody walking, and it just seems like the town is blossoming. So I appreciate everybody's help, down from the department heads, all the employees, and especially the residents. You guys make it. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'll conclude. I'll skip all the staff thank yous and all that. I mean, you guys have heard it. But I will say, because it hit me when the last couple we're talking about when we've been here, I'm one of the newcomers, but it is exactly 5 years ago today that I moved to Surfside Beach, October 22nd, 2019. So kind of cool, that 5-year anniversary. I'm going to make an announcement with our committee liaisons for the town ordinance section 2-21. The mayor is actually the ex officio chairman of all appointed committees, which means I could be the liaison on all of them. I don't want that, and that's why we do appointments. I should not do that. But I've, with Mr. Wall's background in hospitality, I'm going to change him to the ATEX liaison, and Mr. Kreklau, he will replace Mr. Kreklau, who has picked up the Board of Zoning Appeals, which is starting to meet again, and I've reviewed with both guys, and they have agreed with that. I want to move into the election coming up. I was asked by Larry McKean, who's been a volunteer in our town for a while and is also our clerk for Surfside 1, which is this precinct right here. He reminded me that the 2020 turnout was very heavy. Early voting has started, as I think Mr. Kinkin said. Lines are pretty long there. Lines were long in 2020. And the thing in particular that he wanted me to point out is there is a question for the Ride For budget, or the Ride For tax. And when you get into the booth, you'll have, I know not everybody can see this, but there's the, a few of the positions to vote for. Here's the start of the local question. Here's the back. Do not go into the booth and read this question there. Study your sample ballot first, right? I mean, this is like a 8 or 9 fonts, I don't know, and it goes line to, it covers the entire page. So please be prepared, do your homework, and you should anyway. I encourage everybody to vote, but know what you're voting for. The Ride For is a 25-year tax to, continue to develop the road system here in Horry County. So check it out. Make sure you know what you want to do before you do that vote. I'm not going to tell you what, but do want you to be prepared. The other thing he wanted me to remind, especially since a lot of us drive golf carts, we have flags and signs and all that. You can't have political signs, candidate or party, on public property within 500 feet of the polling place. So stow the flags, the signs, whatever, if you're driving here, and then you can put it back out afterwards. That's all I've got. So I just, again, want to thank everybody for being here. We're moving along pretty well. We do have an extra Tuesday in October, so it will be 3 weeks before we meet again, November 12th. And I think we'll have a fair amount to do that as well. So Thanks all for coming. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kincaid.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
We got a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion
Wow.
carries, meeting adjourned.
You get the other take.
Yeah, right. Yes, you did. That's fine.
That would be a great.
Oh, thank you all for
Oh,
staying.
yeah, that made it. We had them all.